speaking specifically to your role and the value you added. So you get a chance to talk about those groups that you work with, those kinds of things that you've done, and what boards will you follow. 6 to 1. Is that one? So I'll repeat the question again. Please share with us your history and experience of working in a group or collaborating with others for a common goal, speaking specifically to your role and value you added to that group and that achieving that common goal.
Sure. Right now I'm currently 48, and I've always owned my own companies. This is my 5th company that I've owned, and they've all been very successful. So I've always been a leader in everything that I do, and I demand and always achieve success in all of my businesses. Currently, I also serve on the planning board here in Mount Vernon, and I believe we've been doing some great work on the planning board to really change and direct the future of Mount Vernon in terms of its infrastructure and buildings and the future plan, the comprehensive plan. In my neighborhood, I started, and I'm currently also president of the neighborhood association at Chester Hill Park, which is the community right behind the high school, where I'm smart enough to know that I'm not the smartest kid in the room. And what makes a great leader is one who's smart enough to know to hire people who are even smarter than he is around him. So that's what I do, and that's my role. Thank you.
One of the most rewarding things I get to do as an attorney is pro bono work, and since I was back in law school, I've done a lot of work in the city. I work in New York City, and I've been involved with a lot of pro bono organizations there, only because I haven't found them up here yet. But I helped a family with some child support case, and with I helped the Bronx Parent Housing Network, and a bunch of these opportunities, and through that. I learned about those opportunities through something called the New York Legal Assistance Group, which is the 2nd or 3rd largest provider of free legal services to low and middle income people in the city. And they approached me and asked me to be on their founding board for the associate board for fundraising. And through that, I had lots of great experiences, like doing lots of fundraising and writing minutes and plans of action for the board and everything. But what Leslie said is absolutely right, that what it means to be on a board is to know how to direct the resources to people who can provide even better, even more resources. And I guess that's my experience on a board specifically.
Well, my history and experience is dealing with children. As being the former president of the Mount Vernon Family Child Care Association, I used to be a New York State licensed group family child care provider, had an accredited program by the National Association for Family Child Care, former president of the Westchester County Foster Adoptive Parent Association, so working with the family courts, criminal courts, Westchester County Department of Social Services, also being an additional parent member for Committee on Special Education, Committee on Special Preschool, also as a surrogate parent with the Department of Mental Health for children birth to 3. So working with those different groups is my experience. And for the court system, they, with the family court judge, supervising judgment, Judge Coon was here, and now Judge Kathy Davison, have called on me to help train workers in reference to how to CASA workers, court-appointed service advocates by the county, in order to have them come into homes when families receive child protective services cases, and how to negotiate that, how to help build a relationship between caseworkers and foster parents. As a school, before I became a board member, which is now a conflict of interest for me to sit as an additional, what's called an additional parent member on those different committees that I named in special education, the school district appreciated me being that additional parent member to help those parents navigate the special education system, which can be a quite challenging system, but they really appreciate it because of the fairness that I have, and it's not just about the parents and the children, but it's also about the district, and most importantly about finding the appropriate placement for the children. And so that sometimes smooths that process between the district, and rightfully so, sometimes the angry parents and parents who are emotional about their children. And I, being a parent myself of children in special education, can definitely understand that. So those are some of the roles, some of my experience with children and families within our city, our county, and our state as well, because I travel to do trainings. Thank you.
Well, like I said before, my name is Wanda White. I am a community person. I have run the Mount Vernon Razorbacks for about 18 years. Presently, I'm the coach and a scorekeeper with the youth baseball team. I work in my church. I am the worthy matron of the Eastern Stars in Mount Vernon Progressive Chapter. I have been the president of the Ladies Auxiliary of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm just plain old Mount Vernon person. And I love working with the youth. That's all I can say, really, because I have been involved in this community for as long as I can remember, since my children started playing sports or being part of the school system. My daughter is currently teaching also, so I'm just a Mount Vernon person, so here I am.
I'm not a Mount Vernon person. I came from the Bronx, but I've been here since 1986, so I think maybe I've gotten there. I began life learning how to swim from my dad, and when I was 17, I became a water safety instructor, and I taught hundreds of people and thousands of people how to swim. I pulled some of those people out. I'm looking at a young lady there who has to stop bothering me because we don't have a swimming pool in the city of Mount Vernon. In a minority community where minority children are 3 times more likely to drown because they don't have access to a swimming pool to learn how to swim. And I have been about organizing people. If you go on the district website, and you look at the on-demand video talking about renaming Longfellow schools. Who's Longfellow? Anyone know who named 2 schools after him? He comes from Maine. So I said, you know what? People in Mount Vernon have been talking to me about addressing the needs of our own history. So we found some people who have a 350-year history in that district, and we named the schools for the Turner family.
I left off previously by stating that we were the highest taxed city in the country. So with my plan, which will be very painful, we're going to have to close some buildings here in Mount Vernon. As I mentioned, each building costs between $6 and $7 million to operate a year. So with this savings of about $18 million, you're going to see your taxes go down right off the bat, about 18%. And with the newfound money, it's unacceptable spending $28,000 per student in the highest tax in the country that we do not have a swimming pool in the high school. But no one is up in arms about we don't have a swimming pool. Where are all the community action groups in outrage, especially if what Mr. Gutzeit said is true in communities of color, that children don't know how to swim? Where is the outrage? We're going to bring after-school programs and a parent outreach program. Because the problem is when you guys send your kids to school, school is not at daycare. Most of the lessons start at home. The teachers are not here. Teachers are there to teach. They're not there to be social workers. And that is the job that our teachers are taking on. They're taking on the role of being a social worker. So with this parenting outreach program, we will work with the parents to develop parenting skills, child development and growth. Are you okay, man? Need some water? Okay. Let me listen. I don't want her to, I need some medical attention. Creating and maintaining a healthy and child-friendly home environment. Nutrition education. Your kids aren't going to school, they're going to school hungry. How do you expect them to function throughout the day? communication skills, time management skills. These are all things that should be taught at home. Home economics, including budgeting and consumer skills. Thank you.
This question specifically to the comprehensive plan, strategic plan of the district. And based on those, there are 5 points to that plan. So based on the 5 points to that plan, what area do you see as fundamental, most fundamental to you from your perspective? And how do you propose, again, bringing attention to it based on the 5 areas of the comprehensive plan of the district?
Yes.
One, I can't speak to any comprehensive plan because I haven't seen a comprehensive plan. And if anyone up here has seen a comprehensive plan, I suggest we share it with us in the audience so we know what you're talking about. So let me give you my comprehensive plan. Because I don't know what you're talking about, a comprehensive plan. I haven't seen it. If any of you have seen it, please let me know about it, because I haven't seen a comprehensive plan for anything in Mount. I don't think we had one since 1960 in Mount Vernon. So another issue we have here, a lot of our students are being classified in special education. Everyone knows that when you have children in special education, it brings more dollars to the district. So a student who has ADHD and conduct disorder, those aren't classifications where you can put a child in special education. Those are mental illnesses. So when you wrongly classify a child, and some of the parents are to blame, because nothing is worse than a lazy parent. Having a lazy parent is like having no parent at all. Some of you parents put your children into special ed and just leave them there. Don't check up on them. Don't see if they still are in the same situation that they have. So this allows our budget to go astronomically, $28,000 per child to educate. We should be embarrassed. This room should be filled to the brim. And again, I'm not surprised because it's intentionally meant so people don't get here. This forum is poorly advertised throughout the community. I mean, it's outrageous here. I mean, I'm paying the highest taxes in the country. I will grab 2, 3, 4 of my neighbors and have them with me. That's what you guys have to do on election day. You have to grab 5, 6, 7, 8 people, bring them to the polls. We've got to vote the incumbents out of office, because someone said they've been there 7 years, and I need 3 more years to fix this problem. We have a serious problem here in Mount Vernon, and that's the problem. We keep aligning ourselves with the power of the so-called power structure.
Thank you, Mr. Rivers.
You're welcome.
Restructuring and transformation is what we've been doing here the last 3 years, and if you haven't seen it, you've been asleep. If you haven't seen it, you haven't been going to the schools and seeing what a superintendent can do when he's motivated. You haven't seen what stakeholders can do when they did a national search to find him. Closing a building sounds really good, but if the school district does its job, people won't have to pay double tax, but it means instead of serving 8,000 children, we'll have to serve 12. And if we're going to close buildings, we'll never find another piece of physical real estate to build a building on. So you don't throw the buildings away, you use them for the purpose that the taxpayers build them for. If I close that ramp tomorrow, it will cost me $30 million to build a new one. Why would I do that? What we have to do is make what we have work and bring our families back. What we do in this community is we say the educational staff are not social workers. Well, you know what? If they're not social workers, they shouldn't be teaching. They have to know that the children have a special need here. Okay? When I went to the Parents Against Teen Violence, I go every year. I go every single year. And I do a program on what to do when the police stop me. Okay? Our children need to know what the problem is for themselves, how to survive. That's what we need to teach. And when our staff are not tuned into the children's needs, we find out when the children talk to us that half of them have PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, people. and that's why they're not engaging in school. So we should hire teachers that do math and science and don't engage children in learning. That makes a lot of sense.